So the topic for tonight is black fathers. We want to know, are they missing or are they misrepresented? The reason that we're doing this show tonight, me in particular, one, because I'm a black father, but me in particular is because I think that there's so much women empowerment and there's so much independent women these days.
Right.
Do you think, you Lola in particular, do you think that the black father is even needed these days? Or is he missing or misrepresented? So what are your thoughts?
I think it's a lot of black fathers that are missing, and it's overshadowing the good fathers that are out there. In my opinion.
So this is my question. So is the black father actually missing, or do you think that he don't know how to be a father? Like, what do you think is really going on? Because I think there's a lot of black fathers. I have black friends on a lot of black fathers on Facebook, and a lot of young fathers actually. And I don't feel like that they're actually missing. I think there may be a misrepresentation of them.
Well, a lot of them are missing. I do know a lot of fathers that are currently in their kids' life or whatever, but it is so many black fathers that are missing. And like I say, my daughter's father, he's a very good father, thank God. But what I don't understand is like the fathers that are missing, somewhat they maybe growing up they didn't have their father in their life. And I don't understand. They know the hurt and what they went through in their life. So why do you want to pass down that and through your generation?
But do you think fathers purposely do that, or is that like learned behavior?
It probably is, but maybe they feel like, oh, I turned out okay or whatever.
So we got Dun Shorty say that they don't know how to be fathers because they're too young. So, is there such thing as being too young to be a father? Like, I mean, is that a real scenario? Like, are you too young to like be a father? Like, what's happening there?
Some can, but you have. I mean,
because I think
you're too young to have sex. You shouldn't have sex.
Because I think a lot of people agree with Don. The reason because you have so many people saying they don't know how to raise kids or they're this young. But do that give them an excuse not to be a father? Because then what happened? Well, I feel like what happened when you give them an excuse like that they're too young, you have other people jumping in and doing their job for them and making it easier. Then they have all these kids. And nobody's accepting responsibility for them, or they don't have to do the responsibility. This is me though. Like my father had me at, I would say 18. Angel H, you out there, you watching. So if I'm wrong about that age, please comment. But I think my father had me at 18. Okay. And I don't think that's a reason. Like he stuck around, he was there, and he did what he's supposed to do.
It doesn't matter about the age, It's just giving you time to grow up. You have a kid.
I think the only thing that I think about age is when we're talking about fathers is that you may not know exactly how to be that great of a father, or you may not know exactly what to do. But I just think that that's parenting overall. So I wouldn't necessarily say that too young or is a great reason.
Reason why.
For why a father should be in a kid's life.
You would know somewhat to do if you had that great father in your life.
So let me ask y'all out there, and let me ask you: is the role of the black father even important these days? Because, like I said, you got so many women saying, "I don't need my kid's father," or they saying, "I can do this all by myself." So have women taking on the mentality of, "I'm an independent woman that I can raise these kids by myself," and in turn making it harder for the black father to be a father?
Well, Personally, I dislike when women say that because I feel like it takes a man and a woman to raise a child. Even though a woman, a lot of women do raise a child alone, but it takes two. It's really tough or whatever.
Teresa said that's not an excuse. It goes from whether they had that great role model. And who is that? Telly says that's the only way that it shows. Telly says a woman can show a man her son how to be a man. Do you agree with that?
No, absolutely not. How? Telly said that how?
She said that you can't.
Oh, you can't. Oh,
you cannot. She's saying a woman can show a man how to be a man.
Absolutely not. That's why you need that father in the household.
So do you think that the father's role is important in these days?
Very important.
But is it only to show? I do agree. And Taria T said you need a great role model. So is it just is it him being the father, or is it him being the role model that's important?
It's both. You need that. You need that role model. You need that father figure. You need all of that.
But why do people feel like that you need that? Taria T says both, and Mr. Francis said that you need both. I actually think that you need both too. But what about let's see. Taria T says that you need both. Okay. I definitely agree with everyone out there who's saying that you do need both.
Right.
But sometimes you have the father that can't be the positive role model, or is not the perfect father, and you as a woman, do you take your kid out of that man's life, or what do you do in that scenario?
It depends on what's not the I mean, nobody is a perfect parent, a perfect,
Well, I was talking to someone earlier today, and the woman was saying, well, my kid can't go around the father, or I don't necessarily want my kid around the father because he's giving my son a bad image. He's with a different woman here, a different woman there, so I don't really want that to be around my son. So do you take the kid out of that father's life?
Well, if he's not willing to communicate and come to an agreement where, the best interest is within the child, we shouldn't do that or whatever. If not,
but do you feel like you as a mom just...
you can still raise your child. You don't have to bring your child around women if they have that agreement. I think it'll be fine.
Well, I don't think that is wrong at all. Oh, I'm not gonna say it's not wrong. I don't think that... I think women put too much emotion in what the father is doing, and women. I think women are more emotional than men will ever be.
Of course.
Takesha said, "No, you don't take the child out of it. It's all up to the father whether he wants to be around or not." Takesha
But so is it a problem that a woman feels that she don't want her child around different females? Like, what are you teaching your son?
I don't think that that's a problem.
Wouldn't that mess up your son?
I don't think that's a problem. But at the end of the day, most women aren't single, so they're around different males. So why do you, as the mother, get to say that, no, my son or my daughter can't come see you because you have too many women around? But at the same time, the woman also have different guys coming in and out too. So why do you get...
What if she don't?
But is that realistic? Is she not dating? Is she never gonna have anybody else around?
Well, I
feel like when a woman
are more discreet with it, like they don't have, they probably do, but they don't bring the man around their daughter. Some do, but
somebody said, unfortunately, when the parents are separated, seeing them with someone else is a part of life, and I 100% agree with that.
People don't no.
Well, you date, people date. And I just don't think that you have a right to say that just because you don't like who I'm dating, as long as they're not putting your child in any danger.
But I wouldn't say that I wouldn't let my child, spend time with his father because of that. But I will. That'll be something that we would talk about.
It's a many of women doing that. We just read a comment that Takesha said, and she said that it's up to the father if he gonna be around or not. And that's one comment that I just seen come up that I totally disagree with, because I think the mother plays a way bigger role in if the father gets to see the child or not, because they get in their emotions and they say, and they're still attached. They're still attached to the man, right. Especially if it's a new breakup. They're still attached to the man. They can't handle it, and then now the son and the woman, when the man don't want to be with them no more, now they're a package deal. It's not, well, you take care of your kid and we'll be cool. It's if you don't want to be with me, you ain't gonna be with the kid either. And that ain't cool either.
It's not cool. I don't agree with that as well.
And I think what's happening is there's so much of that happening. Let's see what this is out there. Russell said, absolutely, both parents need to communicate what is acceptable. And I agree. That's what it is right there. I think that you have to communicate with the father, the mother, and the father.
You have to be able to, it has to be within the child's interest. The main person, is the child.
Yes, but why do women get so caught up in their emotions?
I don't know. Like, we're just emotional. I'm emotional. We just getting. I would never do that.
They said, Kelly said, some women will use their child to so-called make the man hurt, and I definitely agree with that. And I don't agree
with that. Yeah.
That ain't cool. But my issue is that if you're a woman who's out there doing that, then is that giving the father the bad rep? Because there's fathers out here who want to see their kid.
Well, go to court.
You know what? I think that the courts are so geared towards women that it's so hard for a man to fight for his child. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that the guys that's out there, if you're going through this, I'm not saying that you shouldn't fight, because I definitely think that if that's the place that you're at, then you got to do what you got to do, because you do need to be in your father's life. So let me ask you this. Somebody else out there said it's important because a woman can't teach a man how to be a man. So why do you feel like that it's important for the father to be in the house, or the father to be in a part of that kid's life?
Because he has to teach certain things that he has to teach his son that his mother cannot, and that's being a man.
So do you think that like a man being in the house leaves a lasting impression on the son?
Absolutely.
Or like, absolutely. Are we just talking sons? But what about daughters?
I mean, daughters as well. I'm a daddy's girl. I wish my father was in the household. You know, with me, unfortunately, he wasn't. But I mean, certain things your father can teach a girl that, you know, the mother cannot. You know what I'm saying? Like, your mother can't really, I mean, she can tell you about a guy, but your father can really go in depth about what a guy, how he thinks. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, a girl too. She needs that father, yeah.
And what do you feel like that, so you're saying that the father needs to be there to provide this, or teach a man how to be this, or a woman how to do that, and I totally understand that. So what if the father isn't in the household? Can he still be that great of a father over there?
Absolutely.
Teresa 2002 said, "Don't forget about the girls either, because boys and girls need parents." And I agree 100%. I just brought that up as well, Tracy. I think that's where I think that's where the disconnect comes, is that we always say that the boys need the father, but the women need the fathers too.
The girl and the boy as well, they do.
So what do you say to the women who say that, well, my kid's father is a deadbeat, they don't need to be in his lives, I'm just going to do this by myself? What do you say to those women?
Wow, it's
First of all, let me go back. What makes a father a deadbeat?
A person that's just not active in their child's life.
But isn't that like a personal, like what you feel like a personal, or isn't it subjective? That's what it's an opinion. I'm saying, like, how active? What qualifies as active enough?
I mean, as far as being there for your child, putting a roof over their head, clothes on their back, going to school, being active, being around that person, letting them know you love them, give hugs, all that stuff, all that good stuff.
So, I mean, I don't feel like, that's not active. I've had a father. I grew up with a father in my life, and I don't feel like my father is what you just described. Okay. But do I feel like my father left a lasting impression on me? Absolutely. Do I feel, that's why I'm saying...
Well, maybe he showed his love in a different way.
But that's why I'm saying it's opinion, because I think what happens is women feel like if you're not doing A, B, C, then you don't need to be a part of the child's life. But everything that you just described, the hugs and all of that stuff, me and my father don't have that type of relationship. And I feel that my father...
Well, you could probably, like I said, y'all probably communicate in a different way. Like, you're able to talk to him. Do you feel like you can go to him about anything? Or,
yes, but what I'm saying is most women agree with what you just said, being active. What if my mom would have said, oh, he's not playing his part, he's not active enough, and then I done missed out on the father? I think what happens is we make decisions based on emotions, and then we don't remember that it's a whole kid involved. Because like I said, I truly believe that my father gave the best father that he could be. And was he perfect, or did he do everything that he's supposed to do? I don't necessarily believe that. But at the end of the day, did I grow up saying that he did, or am I bitter with him or anything like that? Absolutely not. And did I grow up saying that he missed out or he should have did this? I don't feel like that.
So would you treat your daughter the same way how your father treated you?
I think they'll do that. That's a pretty good question. Yeah. I think there's some pretty big differences that I would probably take that my father didn't take.
Right.
I think too, like this is what happens. This is why I personally believe that a father should be in the household, and then I'm gonna get to your question. Okay. It's because I think it provides a balance.
Okay.
So I think there's things in my life that, and people always hear me talk about my mom. My mom's so great.
Right.
Love my mom, love you, mom.
Okay, we
do. And I always say that. But do I think I would have turned out to be who I am without my father? I don't think so. I think my father provided the balance. And the crazy part is that personality-wise, I'm so much like my mom, but parent-wise, I think I'm more closer to my dad.
Ooh, okay.
And I think and I think it's what you all said out there, that a father provides a little bit something that the mother doesn't necessarily provide. Like, because my mom was a great mom, and every day, like, and you know, she
tell us all the time.
You know, she said stuff that then lasted with me too. Like, you know, my mom and my dad could say something to me, and I'll run with it.
Right.
My mom told me for years, like, I don't have no dumb kids, and you know, can nobody in the world convince me that I'm dumb. We got a little bit of dumb in me because that's what she gave me. But
she stayed at the school.
But at the same time, we're talking about black fathers. I can remember a time like being out pretty much like in the street, and when you're young, this is why I think fatherhood, black fathers, why I wanted to talk about this topic, because they're so important. I can remember being on 105th or being in the streets, playing around, and other guys was doing this, and then, you know, as a kid, as a young guy especially, you feel like, oh, I want to do that too, or like I want to fit in, because you haven't necessarily developed your own views or anything like that. And I can remember doing that, and my father being right there and saying, you don't got to do that, or that's not what you're gonna do. Pretty much, like, those are lasting impressions from my dad. And that's important to me now, because I understand that even looking back then, that was the image, because I was able to say, oh, that's the image of my father. My father said I don't got to do it, so then if he cool with it, like, then I'm cool with it too. And I think that if women understood that, or if even the fathers who are absent understand that, then they would want to play much more of an active role, because you really just don't know how you're leaving like a lasting impression. That's not even something I've told my father before, or something that he's ever heard before, but he's done things like throughout my life that's lasting impressions. And we're talking about the kids out here.
Yeah, so why do you think the guys are not in these kids' lives? Like,
why? I know a lot of guys that want to be in their kids' life, and the women make it difficult for them. Wow. I don't necessarily think that there's too many guys who don't want to be in their kids' life. Let me tell y'all what I think is happening out there. It's out there.
It's a lot that's out there. A lot of them that don't.
Let me tell y'all what I think is happening out there. And if anybody who's watching the show, if you know me, I'm a firm believer in you don't necessarily need credit for Tracy said generational curses. I definitely believe in generational curses. I think that one generation does what the last generation does. But I definitely think that's the problem, Tracy 2002. But at the same time, I think that if we're talking about being a father, you have an obligation to break that generational curse.
Exactly.
And while it may not be the easiest thing, that's your duty as a father. And that's just what you have to do. That's just your responsibility, yeah. This is what I think is happening, though. I think that there's a negative image of black fathers. And I think that, and like I was saying, I'm never one to believe that you need a pat on your back or that you need credit for doing a job that you were supposed to do in the first place. So I'm never going to be like, thank you for staying, Dad. I'm never going to say that. Crazy. Like, that you were supposed to. Like, that's what you did. But I will say thank you for what you've imparted into me.
Right.
So back to that is I'm saying is that there's a negative image. And while you shouldn't get a clap, a high five or a hand clap for doing your job, I do think that we have a duty to combat the negative image of black fathers. Right, so like you just said, your father is a good father.
He's a good father.
Your daughter's father is a good father.
Yeah, he's a very
I've
good
said
father.
that my father, I think that he was the best father he ever could have been. So I don't think that we talk about that enough. And what happens is that because we don't talk about that enough, the people who are bashing or the people who are saying my kids have a deadbeat father, it looks like that's the norm. I don't know if that's the norm. Like, I think that there are good black guys out there.
I don't personally have any friends that don't take care of their kids. I would never, friend somebody like that. But it is people out here like that just don't take care of their kids at all.
So, Creator says it's a stereotype for black men. I would really like to see the real data. I agree 100%. Because I don't necessarily think that the real data is that black men are deadbeat fathers. Like I said.
I do know a lot that do take care of their kids, though.
There is a lot.
Whole lot, yeah.
And what I do know is that I think the role of the black father is being too diminished. And like I said, I think there's too many women saying, I can do this without a father, or I'm just gonna raise these kids, or if he want to be over there doing that, I'll raise these kids by myself. I think that's the wrong attitude. I think it's the wrong mentality. I think you're being extremely selfish, and I think that you're only thinking about yourself. I think that you have a duty to at least try to make it work, and that means if you got to be a co-parent, then that's what you got to do.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, like I think sometimes we forget that kids are involved. The greatest thing,
They do.
And not only that, black fathers, you have a duty to be a father to your kids.
Exactly.
And if the woman is making it hard, then guess what? You got to be careful who you lay down with.
Exactly.
That's what it is at the end of the day.
Down to it, yeah.
Like that's what it is. If you feel like my baby mama putting me through the ringer, she don't let me do this, she don't let me do that, then your job as a black father is, hey, you got to stick it out and
suck it up until you get 18
until the
years.
until the kid understand that, hey, like I know my mother was doing this, but I appreciate you for staying.
Right.
So Tracy say that's true. Men need to step up in the emotional department as well. They're so busy providing. I think that's true, Tracy. But it goes back to what you're saying. I think it goes back to what you're saying is generational curses. Like I said, my father is just not an emotional guy. That's not how he provided. That's not how he fathered. So in turn, I've naturally taken on some of that as well. And although I try to break myself from that,
you're trying to break yourself
it's
from
extremely difficult because I didn't see my father as that.
Right.
And like I said, like some people don't know how to be that emotional father.
Well, I commend you on, trying to break that cycle. I really do.
And like I said, I'm not saying that my father did anything wrong. That's just not who he was as a person. And like he did what he knew how to do, and he stayed when he could have left.
Right.
And so he did his part. And the biggest thing though is that when you are being the father, and if you gonna stay in that household, like, do you have an obligation? What is your obligation as the father? What do you think the father's role is? Because Tracy's out there saying 2002. What do y'all think the father role is? What do you think it is?
The father role is to just be there emotionally, mentally, just to be there. To support that person, to support the child.
I think the role of the black father is so important, especially when you're talking about guys, is because that's when you impart values. Right. I think that the reason that there are so many people looking for joining gangs or reverting to violence is because there is no father figure in the household.
A lot of the times, that's what
there's nobody correcting them along the way.
Right.
Like at a certain point, boys become a little hard for a woman to raise.
That are in their kids' life and they still on the same, they still gang banging and stuff like that, and
they do, but I think that's more of a passive father. Because let me tell you something, my father ain't even an aggressive person.
Right.
And I can remember a time walking into my mom and my dad's house, and not knowingly, but my hat wasn't straight enough for them. And this is in my 20s. And my father said, turn your hat. My mom also said, turn your hat. I think somewhere along the line, parents forget to continue to be parents. You don't get too old for me to be your parent. And that's what I think that even my father has done great, is that I've never became too old for him to tell me something. He don't care if I agree or not. He don't care how grown I am as a man. I don't believe he cares if I agree or disagree with him. If he feel like this is something he needs to tell me as a father, I definitely believe that he's gonna tell me. And that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's the part.
That's what they lacking. They need that. They need that firm.
Well, this is what I'm saying. So if you don't have the father figure in your life, can you substitute that?
Substitute as far as just having a
like, what do you do? So Tracy 2002 said there's no handbook to parenting, but many people need to stop having babies. Well, Tracy 2002, I think people are going to continue to have babies, unfortunately. I do agree that everyone shouldn't be having them.
Hold some of the women accountable for the fathers not being in the kids' life?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Well, what do the women do if the father is not in the child's life? I think naturally they just revert to child support. But what can you do?
Like, I think, and I don't want to get like too deep, but I think that some women should be held accountable. Okay, let me give you an example of that. The neighborhood drug dealer. This girl is dating him, messing with him. She knows that he got all these kids in the neighborhood. He's screwing everybody. He got all these babies, and he don't take care of them. Why would you want to have a baby by him and put yourself in that situation? Knowing he's not going to take care of his kid, now you messing up your kid. Like, why do people do that? I don't understand that. And you know he's a deadbeat father.
Well, I understand that too.
That's crazy.
So you're saying there need to be some self-accountability
for the women as well.
on
That's
the
crazy.
women's part. I don't disagree with that because I think that's why I say I don't necessarily agree always with the bashing. You get women so many times saying my father, my baby daddy ain't this or my baby daddy ain't this.
But you knew he was a deadbeat.
Well,
when you lay down with him.
I've heard women argue, and there's women out there, maybe you have kids, or maybe you know someone who's in this type of situation. I've also heard that you don't always know. Do you believe that?
Yeah, I do believe that. But I'm talking about for the ones that do know. Why do you put yourself in that situation to lay down with this guy and potentially get pregnant, knowing that he don't take care of all his other kids? He's not now you in a pot. He's not gonna take care of your child. Now your child is messed up.
So you're saying that you do believe that you're saying that people can possibly not know who they
can. They can possibly.
How do you not know that? How do you not know that as a woman? I've always wondered that.
People are fake.
They're
fake.
Do you think
they play a role?
I think people play the role, but do you think they play the role long enough, all the way through the point to where you should be having a kid? Maybe you had the kid too soon.
Maybe you lay down with him too soon.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
So is that? Do you get to say that she didn't know, or people are fake? Like you chose at the end of the day.
What? You shouldn't have take your time. Don't don't rush into it.
This is my issue. Is that same woman that's complaining about the father? You got 2 or 3 kids. Mm-hmm. Most of the time, not all of y'all. I'm not saying that, but you have 2 or 3 kids, and you feel like ain't none of your baby daddies nothing. That's the decision you made.
Something is wrong with you.
Wouldn't you say that you made that decision?
I mean, yeah, it's something wrong with you. Then you have to evaluate yourself. Why do you keep running into these men that don't take care of their kids? It's something wrong with you.
So if you're just joining the show, if you haven't heard, we're talking about the black father, the role. Is he missing or is he just misrepresented? Mm-hmm. That's the role, and the reason that we're talking about this is because we think that the role of the black father is so important, and we think that there's something missing in the communities, in the households, that the black father can provide, or that and we also believe that black fathers probably need to step it up a little bit. I'm not trying to dismiss that at all, because like I said, you got to work raising, like someone out there, I think Tracy 2002 said parenting isn't easy.
It's not.
And I definitely believe it takes 2. I asked you earlier is that if the black father was not in the picture, what do you do in that scenario? Like, he's just refusing to be around. The kids still need some type of role model, so what do you do?
So hopefully, within their household, they have like an uncle or, somebody who would step up, a brother, an uncle, or somebody like that. Maybe stepfather, I
definitely agree. I think that like I said, my father was a great father, but what has shaped me ultimately is that my uncles, more so my uncles, but friends from that neighborhood, like guys that was in the neighborhood of where I grew up at, all of them provided an image, and all of them played some type of part in saying that pretty much you got to care about the kid. You got to care about where the kid is going, the direction in which the child is going in. Right. And I think we've come to a place to where we are at the place to where nobody can say nothing to our kids. And I think that is a huge setback for us. The reason that kids were a little bit better before is that because everybody played the part. Yeah. And you had multiple...
They go back to what they say, it take a village.
You had multiple men playing the part. Like I said, like my father had friends, and you better believe if I was out there doing something, I truly believe it. They would have seen my hat turned, or they see me out there again. They would have said something as well.
We need more of that.
And I think that it just doesn't end with the black father. Tracy 2002 says, "Amen. The village stuff was true," and I definitely believe that it's true. If you're joining, make sure that you share the Periscope with your friends. You can share it on Facebook. Make sure you tap the screen to give us hearts. Make sure that you're engaging in the conversation. Like I said, no one viewpoint is correct. The reason that we do this is so that we can take into perspective everyone's account. That's really important. That's the only way we're going to be better. That's the only way we're going to improve. So that's what this show is all about. So let me ask you this. Okay. What do you feel that the black father need to do to be a better black father or a better role model or just a better father in general? What do you all out there think that is lacking from us? What do you feel like, if you're a mom, what do you wish your kid's father was doing? What support do you need? Because ultimately the only way that we're going to get better, all the time we don't always understand. Sometimes there's conflict and it stops us from understanding each other. So you who have kids out there, communication is key.
Is like key. That's like the biggest thing. Talking. That's what really
as a woman, as a mother out there, a single mother, what are you looking for from the black fathers?
I'm just looking for that. Well, I can't. I'm looking for that communication. Just that person that's gonna be there. It's not even all about. Well, it is about financially, but it's not even all. It's so much more than just financially.
Nicole Kerr said get more involved with them. Taria T says get some more time. So black fathers, I think the theme of this message tonight, if you're listening, if you are a black father, and you could be a great father, I think though what the women are looking for, this may be my wife too. I think what you're looking for is that you're looking for us to put in a little bit more time with the kids, for us to be active. I probably can step it up in that game too. Yeah. It's a little bit difficult. Well, yeah, because I think, like I said, I don't think we're naturally just emotional. Like, I don't think that we're naturally like people who are like, mothers are always there. That's what it's always been since the beginning of the time. They spend the time, and I'm not saying. I'm not saying that, right, mothers have always been that person. Yeah. So I'm thinking that if you're a black father, and like I said, myself included, I'm not exempting myself, is that what they're looking for is for us to be a little bit more active in the kids' life, for us to spend a little more time with them.
Because that makes so much of a difference.
I will tell you, though, that I do try to, especially like with my daughter, like you said, do I do things differently from my father? I do try to make sure that I give her, like, sometimes, some just like, one-on-one time. Sometimes that's just with her daddy.
But I know you said that like to her ballet class.
Yeah, so that she can understand that, that. So I do understand what you're saying out there. I definitely get it. Like I said, like women that
y'all need y'all daddy-daughter time. I think I think kids just need their little time. Twice out the month or whatever, just you and the father just go somewhere. Y'all have fun, have that connection.
Absolutely. And to the mothers out there, what I will challenge you to do is to make sure that you're not diminishing the black father's role. Make sure that you're not putting him in a place. Men like to feel needed. That's what it's going to be. That's what it always is. They like to feel like that they're playing a role. Do not diminish the role of the father. Like, the father has to feel like that he has a say. So, so many times women are so strong. Women are, what did I say? I'm the mama. You have to make sure that you're involved with him as well. And if you feel like that he's not being as active as he can, like I said, most men, that's not naturally us. We don't necessarily know how to be that person. So make us active. Like join us in. We're going here. Maybe you should come out with us, or maybe you should do this with us.
Suggest some things to do. Yeah.
Like that's important as well. So like if we're talking about everyone playing the part, I think women, you have to get us a little bit more involved too, because like I said, it's not something that's natural for us. I think women are just naturally that way. So that's what the expectation is for the man, and we're not naturally geared that way. So I think
we gotta up it too.
I do think so. I do think that the women need to up it, and I think that
I can somewhat agree with that. Yeah,
because I think that there needs to be an understanding. If you're going to be great parents, everyone has to understand everyone. Like I said. And Tracy earlier talked about generational curses. Most men are tough. Like we don't show affection. There's not that love. Like I said, my father was that type of man, and I don't think he's that man because he's trying to be tough or whatever. I think he's that man because he's conditioned to be that man. Men are naturally like in touch with their emotions. We're not necessarily affectionate people. So if that's what you want for us, like it's a learned behavior.
You have to let that guard down.
Absolutely.
Learn how to let that guard down a little bit.
Well, that's what I'm learning is along the way. Like I said, I'm not on here to say that I'm the perfect father, because in no ways, by any shape, form, like do I think that. I'm on here to learn just as well, and I'm on here to give my viewpoint as well. I think, like I said, I think the biggest thing is that we need to understand that the black father is needed. I believe the reason why so many kids are spiraling out of control
is because
he's absent.
Yeah.
He's absent. And also, ladies, help to lift the black fathers up. There are enough of you out there who have good men in your life, who have good fathers in their kids' life, but you never say anything about it. That, like I said, you have to combat the women out here that's giving us the negative image, or that's giving us, or making the world believe that black fathers aren't in their kids' life. Because, like I said, I know single black fathers. Like, we went to school with a single black father.
So you think women need to uplift and talk about how their kid's father is in their life? They do.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you what really bothers me.
I mean, you really shouldn't have to do that, but I get it.
Well, should you not have to do that? Let me tell you something. There's always posts about women. You shouldn't have to do it for a woman either. That's her job as well. But there's always posts about, my mother is great. My mother this. I can't live without my mother. I literally just had a post the other day. Like, no reason at all. Just to post a picture of me and my mom. Wouldn't be who I am without her. There was no reason. You don't see a lot of that with fathers, and that's what I said. It becomes discouraging at a point. This is all about encouraging. It becomes a little discouraging at a point when you feel like you've given all that you can. Like I said, that's why I'll never, ever, ever say that my father was a bad father, because he gave what he could give. And sometimes that's enough.
To acknowledge that.
And so I have to acknowledge that. And sometimes you gotta let the men know that, hey, you are doing a good job. I'm looking for this. You're not 100% there, but I'm looking for this.
You have to work together.
And it makes me so mad. It makes me extremely angry, because you get to the point to where, like I said, Father's Day roll around and it becomes nothing but a bashing fact. And then all the women,
why do y'all always say
and then all the women are getting credit for being the father. You're not the father.
I don't agree with that either.
And that but what that is doing right there is that you're diminishing the father's role.
Good black
and we talked about generational curses earlier. You're raising women, so then women go on to have more kids, and then their father wasn't there, and now they feel like, well, my mama did it for me. She did it all by herself, and I turned out just fine, so I'm going to do it by myself. Exactly. You cannot do that. That's what's happening. You got to be very, very careful of the image that you're allowing your kids to see. Like I said, I talked about stuff from my childhood that my father would never know, but that was the image that he gave me. So you got to make sure that you're giving a positive image, and an image that you want these kids to take with them for the rest of their lives.
Exactly.
All right. So that's what it is today. Like I said,
thank you for all the hearts.
Thank you all for joining. Pretty much what we're gonna do is we end every show like this. Lola, where can they find you?
They can find me on, of course, Periscope, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I'm on it all. I'm on everything.
And if you're looking for me, I am also on all social medias: Facebook, Periscope, Instagram, Twitter, as Live to Contribute. That's LIDE, the number 2. Contribute. Make sure you share the post, like I said, with your friends. And until next time, make sure that you build someone up instead of tearing them down. That's what this platform is all about. Thank you all for joining, as always, for this edition of Tuesday Talk. Talk to you all later. Thank you all. Thank you. Talk to you next time.